Somewhere right now, someone just made money in their sleep. Not metaphorically. Literally. While they were unconscious, a payment cleared, a rent check deposited, a machine dispensed something to a stranger who will never know their name. They'll wake up, glance at a number that's higher than it was last night, and go make coffee like nothing happened. That's not a fantasy sold to you in an ad. That's a small, specific category of business. Built on purpose, from day one, to keep running when the owner isn't. Here's the part nobody tells you when you start a business: most people don't build a business at all. They build themselves a job. A harder one than the one they left, with worse hours and none of the safety net. They just traded one boss for another, except now the boss lives in their own head, and it never lets them go home. A small number of owners refuse that trade. They ask a harder question before they ever open the doors, not, "How do I make money today?" but, "How do I make money on a day I never show up?" That question changes everything downstream of it: who gets hired, what gets automated, what contract gets signed before the first customer ever arrives. You're about to see 10 businesses built to answer that question. Some lean on software. Some lean on a single hire done right. One of them will completely change what you think owning a business even means. Stay with this one to the end. The last entry on this list isn't really about business at all. Let's begin. Number 10. The parking lot that runs on nothing but concrete and code. Picture the last time you paid for parking. Did you meet the owner? Almost certainly not. A gate reads your plate, an app takes your card, a camera watches for anyone trying to leave without paying. And the person who owns all of it might be 3 states away, checking a dashboard between meetings. Getting their costs real money up front, $100,000 to $500,000, depending on lot size and whether the land is owned or leased. What you're actually paying for isn't the concrete. It's the software layer that replaces every employee a normal lot would need. On a good day, that lot pulls in $300 to $1,500. Strip out software fees, equipment upkeep, and a repair contractor on retainer, and you're left with $200 to $1,000 of profit, earned by a piece of asphalt. Here's where it quietly falls apart. A payment kiosk goes down at 6 a.m. on a Monday, and by the time anyone notices, 100 cars have already driven past a lot that couldn't take their money. The owners who lose this game are the ones who treated the machine like it would run forever, unsupervised, with no one watching for the one Tuesday it doesn't. The ones who win pay someone else to watch it for them, a remote monitoring service that pages a technician the moment something breaks, so the failure gets fixed before the owner even knows there was one. Number 9. The ATM that never asks for a raise. Every transaction here happens between a stranger and a machine, and the owner is nowhere in the room. That's the entire business model. Machines run $2,000 to $8,000 each, and the operators who take this seriously don't stop at one. They build a route of 20, 30, sometimes 50 machines across bars, gas stations, and event venues that never had an ATM before. Each one quietly earns $10 to $50 a day in surcharge fees. Multiply that across a real route, and you're looking at $600 to $1,500 a day, with margins steep enough that most of it survives as profit. But someone has to keep the cash flowing, and that's the one task in this business that still requires a human. Owners who try to load their own machines end up with a part-time job disguised as a passive investment. The ones who actually stay hands-off hire a bonded armored courier to do it, turning the single manual task in the entire operation into someone else's Tuesday, not theirs. Number 8. The billboard that sells while you sleep. A billboard has no shift schedule. It doesn't call in sick. It just stands there, 30 feet in the air, selling space to a client who signed a contract months before the owner ever thinks about it again. A small static sign might cost $20,000 to lease and build. A digital board in the right corridor can run several $100,000. Either way, the real cost isn't the structure, it's the year-long permitting fight that has to happen before a single dollar comes in. Once it's up, monthly lease revenue runs $1,000 to $10,000, against almost nothing in ongoing expense. Profit margins here can clear 70%, one of the highest on this entire list. The businesses that fail here almost always fail before they ever open, buried in permit delays nobody budgeted a year for. The ones that succeed hand the actual selling to a broker who fills vacancies and negotiates renewals, meaning the owner's only real job is cashing a check they never had to ask for. Number 7. The machine that sells ice in a world that never stops needing it. It sounds almost too plain to be real money. A machine. Bagged ice. 24 hours a day, in a climate that never gives it a season off. A single unit runs $50,000 to $100,000 to install, mostly in plumbing and electrical work. Placed near a marina, a campground, or a busy gas station, it can pull in $100 to $400 a day, and because water and electricity barely register as expenses, most of that survives straight through to profit. Here's the trap: the exact days this machine makes the most money. The hottest days of the year are also the days it's most likely to break under strain. An owner who finds out from an angry customer instead of a sensor has already lost that whole day's revenue. The owners who never get pulled back and wire the machine with a remote alert that texts a technician the second something fails, so the first sign of trouble is a repair getting scheduled, not a complaint arriving. Number 6. The rental portfolio where the owner has never met a tenant. Not a landlord answering midnight maintenance calls. An investor who signed one contract, with a property management company, and hasn't touched a leaky faucet since. The properties themselves might run $200,000 to over $1 million depending on the portfolio. But the number that actually matters here is smaller, 8 to 12% of monthly rent, paid to a management company to handle every tenant, every repair, every turnover, forever. A modest multi-property portfolio can bring in $4,000 to $15,000 a month. After the mortgage, the management fee, and a maintenance reserve, what's left is $1,000 to $5,000 of profit that required no phone calls at all. Most owners who fail here made one mistake: they tried to save that management fee by doing the job themselves, and quietly rebuilt the second job they were trying to escape. The ones who stay out of it entirely understand something counterintuitive. That fee isn't a cost to minimize. It's the exact thing they're buying. Number 5. The gym the owner has never taught a class in. The franchise brand solves half the problem before the doors even open: the marketing playbook, the training systems, the proof that the model works already exists. The other half comes down to one hire. Opening one runs $200,000 to $500,000 between the franchise fee, build-out, and working capital. A well-run location can pull in $30,000 to $80,000 a month. Rent, royalties, and equipment financing eat into that, but so does something more important: a general manager's salary, usually $3,000 to $6,000 a month. That salary is the whole business model. Skip it, and the owner becomes the general manager by default, which quietly turns a passive investment back into a job with a gym-branded polo shirt. Pay it right, with a bonus tied to retention and revenue, and the manager runs the gym like it's theirs, because financially, it partly is. After every expense, $3,000 to $12,000 a month lands in the owner's account for a business they may never set foot in. Number 4. The brand that sells product the founder has never shipped themselves. No warehouse the owner walks through. No customer email they personally answer. Sourcing, fulfillment, and advertising all sit with outside teams built specifically to run this without them. Getting a private label product off the ground costs $20,000 to $75,000 in inventory, branding, and agency fees. Monthly revenue can swing wildly, $10,000 to over $100,000, but so do the costs. Cost of goods, ad spend, marketplace fees, and agency management often eat 60 to 70% of it in the early years. What's left, once things stabilize, is $3,000 to $20,000 a month. The danger here is invisible until it isn't: a brand can drift for months under an outside team before anyone notices the quality slipping or the message going stale. The owners who catch it in time don't check in daily. They built one dashboard, reviewed for 15 minutes a week, that would catch a problem in its second week instead of its sixth month. Number 3. The drive-through the investor has never worked a shift at. You've eaten at one of these. The name on the sign belongs to a corporation. The actual walls belong to someone else entirely, an investor who may own 3 locations, or 30, and has never once stood behind the counter. A single location costs $500,000 to $1.5 million between the franchise fee and build-out, steep, but this model was never designed for one unit. It's designed to spread a manager's fixed cost across several locations at once. Each one can bring in $60,000 to $200,000 a month. Food cost, labor, royalties, and the operating partner's cut take the largest bite, but that cut buys something specific, someone whose entire job is being present so the owner doesn't have to be. What survives is $5,000 to $25,000 of monthly profit, per location. The risk that sinks investors here isn't the food or the market, it's trusting the wrong person with the brand's daily reputation. The ones who scale successfully treat that hire less like an employee and more like a partner, sharing enough upside that running it well is in the operator's own financial interest, not just their job description. Number 2. The website that keeps earning long after anyone stopped writing for it. No storefront exists. No inventory sits in a warehouse. Just a site, built once, still answering the same search query it answered 2 years ago, and getting paid every time. This is the cheapest entry on the entire list, $5,000 to $20,000 to commission the first wave of content and keep it running through the slow first year or 2 before traffic compounds. Monthly revenue might start at $500 and, if it takes off, climb past $15,000. Outsourced writers and hosting fees are the entire cost structure. Barely a fraction of what every other business on this list spends to stay hands-off. But there's a fragility here the others don't share. One algorithm update, and traffic that took 2 years to build can vanish in an afternoon, no warning, no appeal. And the owners who lose the most are the ones who stop reinvesting the moment the checks start arriving, watching an asset they built slowly starve while they weren't looking. The ones who protect it keep a small content budget running permanently, not because it's optional, but because standing still is the same as decaying, on the internet. Number 1. The portfolio where the owner's job stopped being business at all. This is the ceiling. Not one location. Not one brand. A collection of franchises across several brands, run by a management company built for exactly this, and the owner sitting above all of it, several steps removed from any single storefront. Getting here starts in the millions, $2 to $10 million to acquire enough units to justify an entire management layer standing between the owner and the operations. Revenue across a portfolio like this can run $200,000 to over $1 million a month. Royalties, rent, labor, and the management company itself take the largest cut of any business on this list, because that layer is the entire point. It's what's actually being purchased. What survives all of that is $20,000 to $150,000 a month, and here's the twist, the owner never touched a single dollar of it directly. Every location could vanish tomorrow in a downturn that hits every brand at once. That's the real risk at this scale, concentration dressed up as diversification. The investors who lose control usually added units faster than they added the management capacity to actually oversee them. But the ones who make it work discover something the other 9 businesses only hint at. Their actual job was never running a gym, a drive-through, or a parking lot. Their job became hiring, evaluating, and occasionally replacing the executives who run the management company itself. Somewhere along the way, without meaning to, they stopped being a business owner and became something closer to an investor in people. You've just walked through 10 businesses built around one uncomfortable truth. The owner's time is the most expensive thing in any business, and the ones worth building are the ones designed to spend less of it every single year. None of this happened by accident, and none of it happened for free. Every business on this list demanded real work up front, systems built, people hired, contracts negotiated, long before anyone called it passive. That's the part most people skip when they imagine a business that runs without them. They picture the result on the other side. They skip the years of deliberate construction required to get there. True passive income was never about doing nothing. It's about doing the hard work exactly once, so it keeps paying you on every day after that you don't show up. The only question left is which one you're willing to build first.